Well, thanks for joining me. Today, I've regressed to my 5-year-old self on Christmas morning, so excited about the prospect of the day. Well, clearly, I'm not 5 years old, but I did wake up very excited because today I'm going to a very special football club. Not only is it the oldest football club in England, but today I'm visiting the oldest football club in the world. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sheffield F.C. So the home of football stadium is the venue of Sheffield FC. And although this wasn't the original ground for Sheffield when the club was formed, it is their home base now. Unfortunately, where their original ground was is now a very inauspicious B&Q. But the football club has remained continuous. This isn't a Phoenix club. This isn't a reboot. This is the original football club. And its origins came from a cricket team, a cricket club in Sheffield. And what happened was that the cricket club members organised football matches amongst themselves, and teams were formed from sort of married men versus single men and things like that. So that's how football at Sheffield FC began. Now, it wasn't long before Sheffield FC started to play other teams, and I think the first game was against another team from Sheffield, and that was Hallam FC. And you've got to remember, this was the early embryonic stage of the development of the game. So they had to define what the rules were before the match. So in this part of the world, they played with Sheffield rules. But when Sheffield FC played with teams from other parts of the country, they had to agree on the rules before the game started. The first match with somebody outside of South Yorkshire, I understand, was against a team from the East Midlands. So they played Nottingham rules. Now, Nottingham rules seemed quite different. It was played on a huge cricket pitch, and it was 18 aside. And when you think that that doesn't bear much similarity to the football rules of today, it makes you realise that football was in its infancy. It was an embryonic sport. But I tell you what, those Nottingham rules do sound very similar to Australian rules football, because that's played on a cricket pitch with 18 aside. So maybe that's the origin story for Aussie rules. So from that point on, Sheffield FC and football in general went from strength to strength. Today, association football is an international, it's a global game watched by billions of people. But without those players of cricket in South Yorkshire, who knows what would have happened? Would football exist at all? Well, today I'm wearing my Académica do Coimbra football shirt. They're the oldest team in Portugal. And I feel there's a bit of a connection between the likes of Académica and Sheffield FC, Queen's Park in Scotland, Cliftonville in Ireland. There's a connection because of the oldest clubs in their nation. But like I say, without Sheffield FC, who knows what would have happened in terms of football being established. Well, I'm inside the ground now, and as I mentioned before, this is not the original venue of Sheffield Cricket Club and then Sheffield FC. But when you're here, you can't help but feel a sense of history. This is the football club where everything began, and it's a range of emotions, really. You feel excited, it's quite humbling. And apart from the historical context, the actual stadium itself is a nice little non-league ground. We've got this covered terracing here. Over there, we've got a covered main stand with some seats there. It's a good facility. It's full of character. Over the far side, we can see the Sheffield insignia on the halfway line. Their proud history, the home of football, and this is the home of football stadium. There are plans to move Sheffield FC back to the city of Sheffield, because we're actually outside of there at the moment. But I hope it doesn't lose its character, because this feels somehow a good fit with the oldest football club in the world. And the character of this ground, you can see behind me, there's looks like the back of a cottage, but it's actually a pub which is adjacent to the stadium. And it just brings a little bit of character again to a grassroots football stadium, it's really got a good feel about it. It's a nice club shop down there, so I'm going to go and have a look at that in a minute, and I'll get ready for the match itself. And almost the occasion has made me forget there is an actual football match taking place today. Today, Sheffield F.C. are taking on Wonwell Town. Now, Sheffield actually were relegated from the 8th tier of English football last season. The Northern Premier League Division 1 East, they went down. They've made a good start to life in the 9th tier, and hopefully for them, they will bounce straight back. They made a good start. They're in a position where they're in the mix for the playoffs. So maybe Sheffield FC will have a successful season. I guess time will tell with that one. But today's match, Sheffield FC versus Wonwell Town, that's coming up on the pitch behind. So I'm inside the sponsors lounge, and there's some history. There's a scarf, the Club of Pioneers. So that's Sheffield FC's proud place in that. And also my favourite team in Portugal, Académica, are part of that too. Well, I normally stay pretty neutral when I come to a ground, but I've got nice here. I've got myself a new Sheffield FC football shirt. And I was just thinking, how much of a Sheffield experience could you get? I'm at Sheffield FC and I'm listening to Pulp, song by Pulp on the radio. The only thing is, we're not actually in Sheffield, we're not technically in Yorkshire, but we're just over the border into Derbyshire. But the new ground, if it ever gets approved, will be back over the border in South Yorkshire. So there's an interesting fact. Right, I am the vegan GroundHopper. I like to check out what's suitable for vegans when I come to new grounds. I've got a black coffee here, which is my standard. And also, the vegan options are crisps. Or I've gone for something hot today. Yeah, chips. Chips, black coffee, Pulp, football. Beautiful. What a day. So the teams of Sheffield FC and Wonwell Town come onto the pitch.
Cameron Bedford, 15 McKee Hines, 16 Matt Cross, and 17 to Matt Saboni.
So that was a very entertaining first half. I had a look. The league table shows two teams in very different form this season. Sheffield third in the table, Wonwell at bottom. But you wouldn't have known that after the first quarter of an hour because Wonwell were doing well and they took the lead. But I kind of feel that normal service resumed as far as Sheffield went, and they showed their superior quality, and they ended up going in at the break 3-1 to the good. So there you go, fair play. Right, my sweet treat for half time, something a little bit different today. Normally I go for something chocolatey, well today I've veered away from that and I've gone for Skittles. Yes, Skittles are vegan, accidentally, but Skittles are vegan, and I'm going to enjoy some of them. I don't think I'll eat them all, but I am a bit of a Skittles racist. I really don't like the green ones, so I eat the green ones first, then I have the orange and yellow ones because they're okay, and then I save the red and purple ones till last. There you go. I'm talking rubbish again. It's the vegan GroundHopper talking rubbish, well what do you know. Anyway, half time, 3-1 to Sheffield. Second half coming soon.
Goal scorer for Sheffield FC, number 5, Nathan, right here.
Well, that makes it 7-1. Despite a brilliant away support from Wanwell, Sheffield showed their true class and won by a very, very big victory margin. Didn't look like that in the first quarter of the game. Wanwell looked like they had a game plan, defend deep and counter-attack, and it was working. They looked decent. Just shows you, football is a funny game and you never know what's coming next. And I think at half-time I suspected Sheffield might win. I never thought it'd be 7-1. So Sheffield FC, the world's first football club, as they like to describe themselves. And there's a number of different things that occur to me at various points of the day. One of them was this morning before I left, and it was like Sheffield FC were formed in 1857. So they're older than Canada as a country are. Canada gained independence from the UK after this football club. So, I mean, 1857 is just like a date from my O-level history back when I was at high school. It just seems unfathomably a long time in the past, but this football club was founded then. It's quite amazing, to be honest. It's so mad to get my head around that this is such an old football club. So something else occurred to me. This is when I was driving over the Pennines this morning, and it was football's so big and global. I likened it to the Amazon River where it's at its widest. It's a massive entity. But if you follow it back upstream, the river gets narrower and narrower. It becomes a stream, a trickle, and a drip. And the whole Amazon River starts from that. And this is what Sheffield FC is. Sheffield FC is the origin story. It's that trickle that formed what football is today. And it's quite amazing. It's quite inspiring. It's overwhelming. It's an amazing thing, because without football being formed by that cricket club, what would be existing today? What would men talk to each other about, for a start? But also, football is such a part of communities. It's such a part of people's social life. And what would have happened had Sheffield FC not been formed? What would have taken its place? Would I be a groundhopper going around to different cricket grounds? I find that very hard to imagine, to be honest. But yeah, it's quite incredible. The source of football is Sheffield FC. Now, I've really enjoyed my pilgrimage here to the home of football stadium, and I've been to a number of places which possibly could claim to be the heart of football or the source of football. For instance, I've been to the Football Museum in Manchester, the National Football Museum of England. I've also been to national football museums in Germany and Brazil. I've been to Wembley Stadium, old and new. I've been to some really big grounds. I've been to see some really big games. And I wouldn't say that this ground and this football club is bigger and better than Wembley or the football museums or anything like that, but it's certainly on par. If the heart of football is Wembley Stadium, Sheffield Football Club is the DNA of football. This is the source code. This is where it came from, and it's been a privilege to come here today. But that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to wrap it up now. I'll just say this. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you'll join me next time. So until then, from the home of football stadium, goodbye for now.